All right, guys, let's talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So by now, I'm sure that you have seen the film. If you're watching this video, I'm sure that you've seen the film. It has been out for a little bit now, and I just wanted to give some of my quick thoughts on the movie as we head into Phase 5 of the MCU. So, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, obviously, you guys know with the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman, there was a lot of discussion about what this film was going to look like. And obviously, there were many different avenues that they could have taken. But, just jumping ahead basically right to the conclusion, Shuri really was the focus of this film. Now, it's an interesting choice because on the one hand, I think that Letitia Wright gives just an incredible performance in the film. But it's hard, right? Because this entire film is dealing with the loss of Chadwick Boseman. And it's hard to have a character step up the way that the character of Shuri was meant to be, stepping into that lead role while also feeling that vast absence of Chadwick Boseman in the film at the same time. It's really a difficult thing. And I'm not entirely sure. I think that I think the film did about as good of a job as it could to convince me that Shuri and Letitia Wright, and again, this has nothing to do with the character of Shuri or anything like that. It's just more to do with the absence of Chadwick Boseman. It could have been any other character, M'Baku, it could have been Nakia. The film had to really convince me that the mantle could be passed on to any other character with the absence of Chadwick Boseman. Because for those of you who've been watching the channel, I was one of the people who said, maybe they should have recast Chadwick Boseman. I thought that was the right decision. But I also respected Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler for not doing so because they felt that was right. And it turns out that I think that they made the best movie they possibly could have given the circumstances and given their decisions. So I'm not going to fault them for that at all. I think that Black Panther Wakanda Forever is really a beautiful movie about grief and tragedy. And really how to deal with that. But going back to the point of the new Black Panther, I think that, given the fact that Chadwick Boseman or T'Challa are not in this movie, I think that the film really had to convince you, or at least convince me, that whoever is going to take the mantle, it felt appropriate. And I think that for everything, there are moments where I kind of feel like you just feel the weight of Chadwick Boseman's loss too heavily, that it just doesn't feel like Shuri is the new Black Panther. Again, nothing to do with the character, just with Chadwick Boseman and everything that happened. But again, I also think that given Letitia Wright's powerful performance and also just the circumstances and just the way that the movie writes the character of her dealing with that, just inner anger and hatred towards the world. She wants to watch the world burn, and then moving to this place of just peace at the end of the film is really a beautiful thing. And her sparing Namor's life at the end of the film as well. I think that was really well done. So again, just to start out with here, talking about Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I'm really glad that the film took a chance to not recast Chadwick Boseman and then put Letitia Wright and Shuri, who was, let's be honest, a side character for the past few films of the MCU, and give her the chance to really shine. And I'm looking forward to seeing her again. I still think that I will feel the absence of Chadwick Boseman whenever she shows up, but I think that she will step into her own, and she already has. I think she already has. Now, obviously, you can't talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever without talking about Angela Bassett. And Angela Bassett, again, she gave a performance for the ages in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I think that her death was super impactful, but also, basically every line of dialogue that she had in the movie, you could tell it was being spoken from just this deep, resonant place, within Angela Bassett. And I think that, obviously, the speech that she gives in the UN, the speech that she gives to Okoye in the throne room, just really highlight what a talented and high caliber actress that Angela Bassett is. So it would be remiss if I didn't talk about how great Angela Bassett is. And then the rest of the cast, obviously, Winston Duke doesn't get a lot to do, but he's great again as M'Baku. Okoye, Denai Guerrero is great. Michaela Cole, I believe, is one of the Dora Milaje. She's pretty good as well. Florence, I'm freezing on the actress's last name, but also great. And then obviously Riri Williams, Dominic Thorne. I thought that the inclusion of Ironheart in this film was interesting. I think that I wasn't expecting her to be as integral in the story as she was. It is a little interesting that the fact that the only person to make a vibranium tracker is Riri Williams. Like, it's establishing that she's a genius, but it's also It's kind of a stretch because, I mean, again, we're not starting out with an Ironheart film. We're not starting out with the Ironheart series, so we don't quite have a grasp of who this character is. Versus Iron Man had the entire film to establish that Tony Stark was, he was a genius and he got out of the cave like that and all that kind of stuff. So just to start out the film and say, oh, there was this kid who, um, built a vibranium detector is a little bit of a stretch, but you kind of have to go with it. And again, just her flying around in an Iron Man suit at the end of the film, again, you just kind of have to go with it. And that's okay. Martin Freeman and Julia Louis-Dreyfus are probably their characters in their story. While I understand their place in talking about how the world views Wakanda and vibranium, and especially the United States, I found that their storyline was pretty superfluous. I think that you could have done without a lot of it. And that's no fault of Martin Freeman or Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I think that I'm enjoying the character of Val more and more. I'm interested to see what she's going to do in future films like Captain America New World Order if she's in it, or obviously the Thunderbolts. But again, it just kind of felt like it was taking time away from the main brunt of the plot. And obviously the main brunt of the plot is Namor and Wakanda and Shuri. And obviously we have to talk about Tenoch Huerta, who plays Namor. Just an incredible job. I think that once again, Ryan Coogler understands that villains really aren't villains unless you aren't good villains, at least unless you understand them. And I think that in trying to humanize Namor in that way and trying to show the backstory of the colonization of his people and showing how he's trying to protect Talokan from the outside world was really just a great angle to take with that character. So I'm very impressed with what he was able to do with the character of Namor. As far as the story goes, I think that the story is relatively strong. I think that, again, you have this through line of Shuri dealing with her grief and dealing with her anger as she tries to grapple with this new character Namor and how he has to protect his people. I do think that the third act kind of sputters a little bit at the end. I think that the fact that they're just kind of fighting on this boat and then there's this side battle on the beach, it feels like that was sort of more of a mid-movie, like second act kind of fight. And then there was going to be, I'm not saying in terms of spectacle that there had to be something bigger, but something more impactful and more emotional. But again, I've seen the film 2 times now. And it every time I see the film, you get to the third act and you kind of go, yeah, okay. But it doesn't negate from really the rest of the movie. It doesn't negate from whatever has come before it. So again, I think that the central conflict of Talokan and Wakanda is much stronger, and I think I'm very excited to see where that goes from there as well. And yeah, I mean, I think that Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think I still like the first Black Panther more. But again, I think that given the circumstances of this film and given what this film had to do, it just was truly incredible to watch. The first 5 minutes of the movie nearly broke me. And when the silent Marvel logo comes up, it was heartbreaking. It truly was heartbreaking. There are moments in the film where you just, like when Queen Ramonda dies and obviously the beginning and the end just hit emotional levels that no other MCU movie really has. Not even Endgame, not even Infinity War. And I was very impressed by that. I really, really was. So I'm grateful that Ryan Coogler took that swing, especially he could have just walked away from the project and said, I'm done, which would have been respectable in its own right, I think, given what had happened. But I'm really glad that he took the time to channel his grief into an art form that we all got to watch. So I was very, very happy that Wakanda Forever was really elevated more above a film's, previous MCU films in terms of just the emotional weight and heaviness that it hit. And especially in a year where we got Doctor Strange 2, which was just a cheesy, kind of goofy, kind of B movie in a sense. And then we got Thor: Love and Thunder, a film that I like less and less the more I think about it. So yeah, really, really glad we ended the year strong with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Really, really excited for the future of Wakanda. I think it'll have a very important part to play in the MCU, but also just glad that the film itself was really strong as well.